Yeah. Okay, we're gonna get this to work because Facebook ain't working. Okay, hey, woo, okay. Okay, we're gonna get this to work because Facebook ain't working. Okay, so sorry guys, I'm getting distracted by myself here, so don't mind me. Facebook live stream wasn't working, so I am zoning out trying to get this link to put into the Facebook group. I am having a wonderful day. Hope you guys are too. Let me put my volume down so you don't hear my echo. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So let's see. Facebook, where are you? You'd think it'd get easier every time. I don't know why these tech issues keep coming up, but I will power through. We need to get the Daniel Challenge information to the people. So as you can tell, I'm in kind of a silly mood, and maybe it's too much sun. I went swimming with the kids today, and it was a glorious sunny Cali day. So why I'm clicking on a group and it's taking me to the wrong group. What's going on here, Facebook? Get your act together. Okay, here we go. So we are live. Let me just type this in. Facebook Live is not working. So here is YouTube Live. You can also join Zoom here. Okay, I scratched my nose again. Let me get my YouTube link. Not my YouTube link, my Zoom link. Where is my Zoom link? Let me share. Participants. Let's see, invite, copy URL. Okay, we got it. We're getting there. We're almost there, I promise. Okay, let's post. Come on, don't delete. No, so much work. Okay, here we go. Yes. Okay, let's see. I see Heather in here. Oh no, did I lose her? Oh, I just saw you in here, Heather. My bad. I was getting distracted trying to work out my technical glitches. So please feel free to hop back on. I was bouncing around screens. So my bad, girl, my bad. So we should be live. So let me tag y'all and then we'll be good. So wonderful. I think we are rolling, getting through these glitches here. So I'm gonna message Heather. My bad, at Heather. Is this the right one? Yes, I think so. I'm on now. Okay. Woo, okay, so we are on day 3, 30% done, just like that, boom. So how are you guys feeling? At this point, my coffee drinkers should be getting over the hurdle. If not, I will have to show you. Actually, let me show you right now, because I don't think I put it in my presentation, but I should have the coffee recipe. So let's just start off with a little coffee recipe. How about that? So let me pull it up. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, but we will get into the hunk of the stuff here. So let me pull up my image. Oh wait, wrong thing. I'm totally doing the wrong thing. Okay, get your act together. Here we go. We got this. A little tech issues just throws everything sideways. So I'm gonna look up my little Coco image for y'all, because I text this to, gosh, who was it? I want to say it was Jean, who had the coffee indulgence that she was all about. So let me share my screen and let me pull up my comments, and then we will be back in action. So let me make sure I'm not ignoring Heather on here. No, I'm not. Okay, good. So we have share my screen. Oh, there she is. Admit. Okay, now we're back. Now we're back. Hey girl, I'm sorry. My Facebook Live isn't working. So I was like battling all these screens and all that fun stuff. So I wasn't ignoring you. Ooh, it's so gorgeous out there. Where are you? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. I said, this is the first nice warm weather we have here in Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
It's just starting the summertime.
Oh man, you're gonna be so jealous of me. It's been so warm out here. I was hopping in the pool with the kids today. So
Oh, yeah, LA, right?
yes, Sunshine City. So I'm pulling up the comments right now, but I wanted to ask you, so you said you've done this Daniel challenge before. Like, have you done it multiple times? What's your background using this form of eating?
Yeah, it's usually, like with the churches and stuff, we do it in January. So for about 2 years or so, I've been doing it. And yeah, I really like the idea for taking care of my health and also for spiritual reasons, like the last 2 years. So I've been like kind of a new believer. And so this has really been adding to adding the prayers and stuff like that is it's been increasing since this year. So I did the Daniel challenge 21 days in January.
Awesome. Yeah, I did that with my church 21 days too. Oh. I think you're cutting out on us.
Oh, really?
Cutting out.
I don't know.
Okay, there you are.
Oh, okay. I should go closer to the Wi-Fi.
Awesome. Yeah, the 21 days is the serious one. That's like, oh man, that's like almost a full month. And my pastor did it, and he was like, he's a huge meat eater, so it was a struggle, but he really enjoyed the community experience of it, and he lost like 11 pounds. So
wow.
Yeah. So, and it was the first time he'd been under like his like marker. He was like, oh my God, for the first time in like 10 years, I'm at finally a weight underneath, I forgot what it was, but I was like, sweet, and his wife got rid of her allergies. So they had a good experience. So I think I want to make it an annual thing. It'll be fun. So
yeah.
All right. I see Lori hopped on. So let's say hi to Lori. How are you doing? I love checking in on day 3 to see how kind of the flow's going. Looks like she's connecting her audio.
The weight is exactly the same as day 0, my weight.
Oh, really? Well, you look very lean. Like you don't really got anything to lose, but I forgot to weigh myself today.
145, I think it is.
Oh, okay. I've lost 2 pounds so far. And I forgot to weigh myself today, but I guess I'm on like a pound a day again, but I don't expect a full 10 pounds because that's the first time is always the drastic one. But yeah. So, all right, Lori, can you hear us? I'm going to unmute you. Okay. Lori. Oh, it's not working. Maybe she doesn't have a mic. Okay. All right. While we are waiting for Lori to see if she wants to say hi, I'm going to get into the sharing of my screen, all that fun stuff. And I'm going to show you the cocoa recipe. So for those of you that are coffee drinkers, Heather, are you a coffee drinker? Are you big on coffee?
Oh my gosh. I was having like organic coffee. I switched to it, but that's what I was going to show you. My coffee I've been doing since yesterday. So I love it. I mean, not coffee, the cocoa recipe I've been doing since yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Wonderful. So yeah, I'm going to show that right now just to make sure anyone who didn't see that, I think you can see it. Yeah. So basically this is my husband's solution because he is like a coffee addict, like legit addict to coffee. And so he's been having a cup a day of like really strong coffee since I've known him, which is we met in college and he's been doing that before I met him. So what he does is he takes the 1 tablespoon of raw cacao powder. So what cacao is the original form of chocolate. So, you know, we have like all the essential minerals and nutrients undisturbed when it's in this form. So you mix that with a cup of hot water. Now, when we're doing, you know, after 10 days, we can be a little more lenient on the whole water issue. So you can add in some non-dairy milks and all of that fun stuff. But for the first 10 days, we want to be really like to the core and keep it with water. So he does just hot water, stevia to taste. So I didn't really know how to describe, like, we use the powdered stevia, which has these tiny little spoons, you know, so we use 4 of those little spoons, but I know other people have like droppers and, you know, different styles of stevia. So I just put 4 servings to whatever form of stevia you have, like 4 little doses of that. And then a dash of cinnamon, and boom, you have kind of like a coffee style drink to keep with that morning routine of, it's nice to snuggle and have in the early mornings a little relaxing cup of hot drink. So this was his substitute, and it's been his substitute because he's doing it right now. So today we are going to be getting into, let me move our little faces again. And here we go. Present. Oh, let me get on the right page. Okay, present and present. There we go. Woo, all righty. So for today's scripture, we're going to start off with not from the book of Daniel for once. We are actually going to tap into Genesis. So I call this Daniel challenge, Daniel diet, whatever you want to call it. I call it also, it's synonymous with the Genesis diet. So some people in the spiritual, you know, church biblical space, they call it either or put them together, whatever you want to do. But essentially in Genesis, oh, I'm getting a little, let me pull up my little stuff. Oh, herbal teas. So yes, so teas is not included in, I think, I'm like with the Daniel way of eating, I think like the high caffeine stuff is part of the stuff that is supposed to be like restricted. But I think if it's just a natural non-caffeinated like leaf, or my mom's been doing canela, which is cinnamon, and she just takes a little cinnamon stick and boils it into this wonderful tea. So I actually recorded her. So I'm going to put that video here in the group too, so you guys can see. So Heather's asking about my take on teas. And so I think caffeine, there's some uncertainty with caffeine. And I think when you have high doses, like in coffee or like green teas or those highly caffeinated teas, it kind of amps up your system to work a little harder than it normally would, and then kind of exhausting it a little bit. So we want to really let your system relax and kick back and not have to overwork itself. So that's why I personally steer clear from caffeinated teas. And that's why I recommend an alternative of the cocoa, you know, the raw cacao powder, or the canela cinnamon, which both those are yummy, and you can mix them together too if you want to have some fun. So wonderful question. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, put them in the Facebook comments or in the chat comments here. I have them all pulled up, and let's get going. So the Daniel verse, or the Genesis verse we have for today is, God said, "See, I have given you every herb, plant that yields seed, which is on the face of the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed to you, it shall be good food." So right off the bat, in the first, you know, chapter of the Bible, God's like, hey, I've created these wonderful plants for you to indulge in that bear seeds so that they can reproduce and just supply good food for you for the rest of your life. So wonderful. And that's essentially what we do here on the Daniel Challenge, is we're indulging in these Genesis fruit, trees, and herbs and plants that that he has placed here with us. So minus the higher caffeine ones, just for the sake of really putting our body to rest, letting it rest and not be over amped up. So, all right, let's get into it. So, we have, let me just put this here and I'll pop it up when I see a little notification, and let me, boom. Okay, now we are moving. So I want to get into some of the nutritional densities of food. So we've kind of have an idea of what we should be eating, and have an idea that, wow, people actually do get extra benefits from these foods. And now I want to get a little more specific as to why. so that we can have more power in our purchases when we buy food. So I kind of look at food differently now. And Lori, I'm looking at your comment. I love it. It's a yes. The enthusiasm is so exciting. So I'm going to talk about the different food groups that are involved within the Daniel form of eating. So you have the fruits and veggies, obviously. The main ones we are touching on and trying to focus on during the first at least 5 days, but 10 days. And then tubers, which I didn't know that was a term for root vegetables. So that's something I learned while doing this challenge. And, you know, you got the sweet potatoes, beets, all of that good stuff. And then down here you have more whole grains and legumes, which is like beans, lentils, and all of that fun stuff. So that's essentially what all the whole foods categories are, all in a nutshell. And then you have what I want to mention is with the fruits and vegetables, you know, you can take your pick, indulge, try new things like stuff you haven't tried before, really mix it up, get exotic fruit and just have fun with it. But what I do want to mention is I don't say any requirements for having to buy organic or non-organic or whatever it is, but obviously the less pesticides the better. So for those that are trying to, you know, purchase on a budget and sometimes don't want to get organic or want to be, you know, half and half, some organic, some not, I do want to reference the Dirty Dozen list and the Clean 15 list. So if you guys haven't heard of this, it's become very popular over the recent years. And so all it is the Dirty Dozen are the fruit and vegetables that rank highest in the pesticide levels when tested. And so when considering that, you're essentially eating pesticides if you eat these foods non-organic, you know? So I don't want to say don't eat these foods, but if you're trying to be selective with which produce you do purchase organic, these are the ones that you would want to focus on. You see strawberries and spinach and kale right off the bat, some of the popular, you know, healthy foods, and nectarines, apples, grapes, peaches, cherries, pears. And like me, to be real with you, I try and be buy organic most of the time, but I'm not super like, oh my God, like if there's someone serving grapes at a party, I'm not going to check if it's organic or not. I'm going to eat those grapes because I'm hungry. So, so when you're in control of your source and you want to be more cautious with the stuff that's in your food, these are the ones you definitely would want to go with organic as opposed to non-organic. And then in the opposite side of things, oh, I think this is out of order. Okay. Then the opposite side of things is the Clean 15. So these are the ones that you don't have to buy organic, which is wonderful because avocados are like my favorite thing and they are super expensive, especially when it's organic. So when I read this, I was just like, hallelujah, because I have an avocado tree and it can't keep up. It can't keep up with like all the stuff that I make and all the guacamole we got flowing through here, you know? So this is music to my ears. So you don't have to, you know, the Clean 15 means it had the least amount of trace pesticides in it. So yeah, go for those avocados and you can feel better about not getting organic. And then same thing with the sweet corn, the pineapples, frozen peas, onions, papayas. So a really cool thing about papayas is they are super high in digestive enzymes. So this is something that I'm starting to add more into my diet because my husband, part of his journey has been digestive things where we did test and we learned that he doesn't produce the same amount of digestive enzymes as the average person. So again, when on his journey of healing, we want to give his body that proper support to ensure that it doesn't have to overwork itself. So if digestive stuff is on your radar, definitely start incorporating papayas. Now they're tricky because the foods that have the highest amount of digestive enzymes that are good for your system to help digest the food is they digest themselves quickly. So that means they ripen and then go rotten very fast. And so there's that narrow window where you have to kind of cut them And so, so just be aware of that. And same thing with pears. Like pears, they kind of ripen really quickly and go bad quick. So that's why they're kind of considered more of the healthier digestive ones. So what I like to do is just get one and make it while it's ripe, you know, get that nice little window while it's ripe, and then just freeze the rest and then put it in smoothies, because sometimes I like the flavor of it when it's perfectly ripe, but sometimes I don't. So, you know, it's hit and miss. If I don't like the flavor, I just drown it into a smoothie. So then we have eggplant, asparagus, kiwis, cabbage, cauliflower, cantaloupes, broccoli, mushrooms, and honeydew melons. So these, go at it. You know, if you're not trying to like spend extra money on organic, these are the ones that you can really just go with less, you know, concern. And so I always like to have those options, especially, you know, when one of our biggest bills is food, you know, grocery food, because we really just kind of buy a lot of stuff. And I like to get crazy with recipes sometimes. And now I have 2 more mouths to feed with my kids. And so, yeah, we kind of go all out. And so I want to go back to this slide. But before we do, let me see. Where are my little things here? They're disappearing. I saw a chat pop up and I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. Oh no, what happened? What's going on? Enter full screen mode. Okay, I don't know why it did that. Okay, I saw a chat bubble pop up and then it went away. So my bad. If you were trying to leave me a chat, I missed it. But now it restarted. Okay, here we go. Oh wait, what's going on? Okay. My goodness, these tech issues are really trying to come at me. But I'm good, because we are back on where we started. So one thing I want to mention is, even with the actual same type of fruit, you can get different nutritional densities depending on like the variations. So with blueberries, they're a wonderful fruit with high in antioxidants, and they're lower on the glycemic scale. But I learned during kind of all this health research stuff that blueberries are wonderful, but guess what has the double amount of antioxidant power than normal blueberries? Is wild blueberries. And so you can find at grocery stores, like here's just a picture of Trader Joe's, they have organic wild blueberries. And so you can just see the difference, like they're a little bit smaller, and they have double the antioxidants power and antioxidant power. So there it is. Okay. Wait, why can't I see my mouse? Oh my goodness. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna just leave this chat here. Ooh, okay, Heather just got a papaya for the first time in a while. I love it. And Lori says avocados are great. Oh, made with mint tea. Fresh. Ooh, I need to get more mint in my garden. I need to work on that. Ooh, and acai from Trader Joe's. Yes. So be careful with some of those acai pre-mixed things, because I tried getting a couple of them and I was making smoothies for my kids, and then I noticed that there was sugar in it. So like sometimes they'll sneak in sugar, and during the Daniel challenge, we're trying to minimize that, but on a normal day, it's totally allowed. So, all right, here we go. Now I'm back where we should be. So with referencing the antioxidants, we have something called the ORAC score. That's how the nutritional value in terms of antioxidants is determined. And that's how they give you this ranking in our food industry. So the ORAC score is essentially, let me make sure y'all can read this here. I don't know why my mouse is not working right now. Okay, let's push this up top. Okay, we are good. So it's basically the oxygen radical absorbance capacity, a measure of the ability of a food or any other substance to quench oxygen free radicals in a test tube. So they basically put it in a little test tube and they see how well this food is able to quench, meaning neutralize the free radicals within the test tube. And so why that's important is because the free radicals end up running amok in your system looking for electrons, and they end up stealing one from a healthy cell that needs that electron. And so what happens with the antioxidants is they give that free radical that little element that it's looking for, and then neutralizes it so it can pass through your system. And so I kind of consider them the little garbage men who just come in, they take these wild child things trying to wreak havoc in your system, causing inflammation, and they just escort them out of the building. And so the more of those you have, the better it is on your system, because relieves your system from needing to do that itself, and less damage happens within your cells as a result. So the faster you can get them out and the less you can have in your body, the better. And so they're found abundantly in plants, just in different levels. And like I said, what they do is they prevent or slow damage to cells caused by these free radicals. And so what you essentially want to do, bottom line, is add more to your pantry, add more to your plate, and really pay attention to, you know, the foods and their values. And so, like I mentioned, the wild blueberries, you can eat the same fruit and get like double the effect for free, essentially, you know, just by knowing that, oh, I feel like blueberries and wild blueberries are going to give me double action, you know, for the same quantity of berries. So just to give you a visual here, move my little chats over here. Oh, unsweetened. Ooh, sugar-free. Yes. Okay, I need to look that up. I haven't been to Trader Joe's in a while because their lines are insanely long right now because of the whole quarantine stuff. So I'm going to Sprouts because it's a little more manageable. you know, I can't be away from the kids for too long. So yes, when it comes to the whole ranking system, I wanted to share with you actually two charts that I found, because I want to let you guys know that there is, since the data is constantly changing, like as they start testing more berries or different scores start showing up, like different sites will reference different things and have them slightly ranked differently. And so that's why I want to remind you guys, like when scouring the internet or researching things change and it's hard to keep up sometimes. So what I do is I like to have a general idea. And the way I do that is I just go to multiple sources. I don't just go to one. I kind of look up the score on multiple trusted websites. Some of the sites that I really like to go to are Dr. Axe, Bulletproof, with Dave Asprey, and nutritionfacts.org, and everything in between. And so this is one of Dr. Axe. I don't know what this one is, but basically you can see like here it has goji berries at number 1 with an ORAC score of 25,000. And here it has chocolate as number 1 with an ORAC score of 20,000. And so it's a little different, and you'll notice they have like the goji berries ranked differently and with a different score. And so again, there's misinterpreting of the data or data that gets updated that people aren't acknowledging. So what I do is I just like to think if anything's on this list, it's pretty good. If it has higher antioxidants or is even considered as having higher antioxidants. So I just kind of use like the common, if it's on both the lists or multiple lists, it's usually good to go. And so as I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with a lot of these, like elderberries, that's one of the natural cold medicine remedies. And it's because they have a super high, they're super high in vitamin C, but also have a super high ORAC score, which means they have the antioxidants to help support your immune system and prevent any damage. And and you'll see chocolate, like that's why I'm like, dude, I love that chocolate is natural, a plant, and as long as we keep it pure to its source, like it has this thing called resveratrol, which I don't even know how to explain what that is, but right now, but it's another beneficial element that most foods don't have. So that's something unique to chocolate, and it has a ton of minerals and just nutrients within it. And so it's high on the ORAC score, meaning it has a bunch of antioxidants. And so I like to just see the common themes or common items that kind of get repeated over time within different websites and different gurus or whatever you want to call them. So that way I know I'm making a better educated guess than the average person, So another food that I want to mention here. So you have, I love blackberries. You see all the dark berries are super high in antioxidants. So that's why I try in the mornings, I focus on the the raspberries, the blackberries, the blueberries. My kids love it. And I know they're getting a little extra punch in terms of antioxidants. So I don't have to be as concerned about all the other things they eat or end up eating throughout the day. So Heather's asking about what % of dark chocolate should we be buying? So I would recommend the darker, the better. And with buying chocolate right now, so for this challenge, I would check the ingredients because the brand that I end up using is, I think it's Lily's brand, and they have a vegan chocolate that's sweetened with stevia. And so you'll notice some of the other chocolates add milk fat and add sugar and all these other things. So I like Lily's with that's vegan and stevia. That's going to be the closest to the Daniel way. But with my chocolate, I just like to control it. I will make my own, chocolate banana ice cream. I'm gonna have to share that recipe actually, now that I think about it. I didn't put it on the guide because I think there is a little bit of milk, but it's not that big, the non-dairy milk. But you have sugar-free dark chocolate. So I would check the ingredients. Yeah, if it has anything that's kind of like not natural, I would just hold off till day 10. But even if you have a little bit, that's like a healthier cheat anyways. So I'm not gonna like drill you for it, but it's up to your discretion. So the next thing that I wanna mention is the cilantro. So what is wonderful about this, which, I'm Mexican, Native American, we like to eat it in a lot of our food. And now I know why, because it's a natural chelator, spelled CHELATOR. And what that means is it binds to heavy metals. And so as I started doing health research, I'm learning that heavy metal toxicity is kind of a big issue because it's hidden in foods, like fish, right? When you're pregnant, you're not supposed to eat fish because of the mercury, and other heavy metals can be, in the air or whatever it is, that some people have it in their system without even realizing it. And what happens is it gets lodged in your fat and then just accumulates, and your body doesn't have a way to kind of carry it out or detox it. So cilantro is one of those things that binds to it. It actually like magnetizes these heavy metals in your system and then allows your body to carry it out. So that's another reason to be dabbling with this right here. And it also has antioxidants, an ORAC score of 5,000. So good stuff, good stuff. And then here, yeah, so it's at the bottom on this list too. So yeah, those are just some of the notable items, and you'll see some nuts, artichokes, pecans. Ooh, I love me some pecans, and goji berries. So I'm sure goji berries became like a huge craze like 3 or 4 years ago. And this is why, because they were on the top of the antioxidant food chart. And so people want to double down on the antioxidants. And this is what they look like. I've actually tried eating them and they're kind of like a little too chewy for me. So, so yes, I will definitely have to share. I see the comment, share some sweet recipes. Okay, I am on it. I got you, girl. I got you. So the top 10 highest antioxidant rich superfoods. So we were talking about just kind of the top antioxidant foods, but you know how you hear that term super. And so that's usually, I want you to look at the difference in the ORAC score between the ones we were discussing, which were like the highest one was like 25,000 on the ORAC scale. And this one is where, I can't see my little arrow again. Where are you, arrow? Oh no, how do I go back? Oh, where is it? Where is it? Where are you? There you are. Oh goodness. Oh, okay, there we go. So how do I go back now? What's going on here? What is going on? Window is just for you. Okay, got it. Now, how do I get back into presentation mode? Okay, let me stop sharing real quick and then I'm gonna share again. My bad, y'all. I don't know why it is acting funky. It is acting really funky here. So share. Something is a little bit different. So what's going on here? What is going on? Let me close this. Ah, okay. We are back in action. back in action. No problem. Okay, present. So like I was saying, before I was rudely interrupted by my computer, enter full screen mode. Okay, we're gonna try this again. Okay, here we go. So you have, I don't like that it doesn't show my little button, but okay, you guys are just gonna have to find it. So dragon's blood has 2 million, 2.8 million. So almost 3 million in the ORAC score. And I don't even know what dragon's blood is, but I'm probably gonna have to try it. And then you have the second one at 2.8 million, as if I don't even know what that is. The third one I've actually heard of, Triphala. And the other one that I've heard of is, well, obviously cloves, but Indian gooseberries. And so actually I have a video that I want to show you guys after I discuss this chart on Indian gooseberries for diabetics. So we started taking gooseberry powder because it's super high in vitamin C, but again, it has super high in antioxidants compared to all the other, normal foods that people would eat. And then you have, number 8 and number 10, which is oregano and rosemary. So when you're cooking with those items, like you're getting 175,000 points on the ORAC scale, meaning you're getting a nice little antioxidant boost with just a little portion of your, your seasonings and rosemary. So I love those with my potatoes. And so for people that are really trying to solve an issue, having these kind of superpower type of foods and herbs is a nice little cheat sheet. So I want to show you that kind of cheat sheet in action in terms of the data. And let me show you my video here on YouTube, or yeah. So with Indian gooseberries, there's this guy, his name is Dr. Michael Greger, and he has a website called nutritionfacts.org, which I mentioned yesterday. I like to Google, search his site for just any ailment like diabetes, cancer, anything that's on your mind that you're trying to help someone with or help yourself with. I search and he has a bunch of videos. So when I was doing my search for diabetes, I came across this one with amla, which is also called Indian gooseberries, which was number 6 or something in that superfoods chart you just saw. So let me just play this here for you.
Dripping plant extracts on cancer cells in a test tube is a far cry from testing whole foods on whole people. Another amla study published recently, though, tried Indian gooseberries on patients with diabetes. A normal fasting blood sugar is considered under 100. Between 100 and 125 is called pre-diabetes, and over 25 you are essentially by definition diabetic. So they took people with diabetes and they put them on a diabetes medication like glyburide, sold as diabeta or micronase. It brings down their blood sugars. Then researchers compared that leading diabetes drug to just 3/4 of a teaspoon a day of dried powdered amla. That's less than 2 berries a day worth. They just gave them a tiny bit of this fruit and it worked even better than the leading drug. So they tried half teaspoon a day of gooseberry powder, 1/4 teaspoon a day, right? That's less, that's not even 1 berry. Still brought their sugars down into the normal range. Here are the potential side effects of the drug, glyburide. Most commonly, weight gain, feeling like you're going to throw up, or rarely your skin starts to fall off or your liver fails or poisons your bone marrow. Side effects of gooseberries, I don't know, they taste kind of sour. Amla has been used safely for centuries, but these researchers did actually find 3 dramatic side effects in addition to bringing their blood sugars down. Amla lowered their bad cholesterol, straight from the danger zone into the happy zone. 1 gooseberry a day cut their bad cholesterol in half in 3 weeks. Boosted their good cholesterol and cut their triglycerides in half. Yeah, but how expensive is this amla stuff? How expensive are Indian gooseberries? Most of the diabetes drugs are generic now. You could get a 3-month supply of the drugs for only like $50. So I biked over to an Indian spice store I actually have in my neighborhood to see if they had Indian gooseberries. I I was afraid they'd be like, what? Instead, they were like, do you want frozen, dried, sweetened, salted, pickled, packed in syrup, packed in nitrogen? I bought all these in a tiny little store in a strip mall a couple blocks away from where I live. You can tell I like the sweet the best. And yes, they had powdered too. A 3-month supply, $3. Right? Am I recommending people treat their diabetes with gooseberry powder? No. I recommend curing your diabetes with a plant-based diet. Why treat anything when you can get at the root cause and reverse it in the first place?
All right, that is Dr. Greger. He brings a lot of humor to his videos, which I appreciate. And yeah, like basically that sums it up. Like one berry a day reduced their fasting blood glucose, just that one change. And doing 3/4 of a teaspoon a day performed better than the leading drug medication that was being prescribed to diabetics to help control their blood glucose and fasting glucose. So that is something that if diabetes is on the radar, or if you know someone who's trying to, here we go again with the weird stuff, who's trying to resolve that issue, then yeah, that's something that can be done easily. And like, what do you got to lose? You know, I guess the one reason why it's not more commonly used is because the flavor is super tart and it's not very palatable when you're eating it by itself. So what Graham does is he mixes it in a smoothie. But yeah, like it's one of those powerful things, and there's research behind it, which is great, because some of the stuff we just have to go on faith and knowing that, well, it's high in nutrients, so it should be doing good in our body. But like, this is something that's been studied, and more and more people are coming across it, and more research is being done behind it. So yes, Indian gooseberries, AKA amla, AMLA is what it's called. And so I'm just going to keep this like this. That way I don't have to deal with whatever the weird thing is happening when I try and go into present mode, because it's acting a little wonky. So we have tubers is the next category, and that's basically all the root vegetables. And so I'm sure you guys are familiar, all the potatoes, yams, artichoke, taro, beet, ginger, carrots, jicama, which is one of my favorite sweet ones, and radishes. But I have this star on celeriac because that's something I never knew existed. And it's actually a wonderful low glycemic option of tubers, because most of the other ones, like potatoes, are super high on the glycemic index. So for people, especially in the early phase, that are trying not to put too much stress on their pancreas, celeriac root is a wonderful alternative. And what it is the root of the actual celery stalk. So it looks like kind of like a potato, and it's like a potato and celery mixed in one. You know, it has kind of a starchy feel to it, but a celery flavor. And so I used to cook a lot with that, but I think it's a seasonal thing. So I started using it a lot, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared from Whole Foods for a while, and then it came back. So if you have it in stock, it's a fun thing to try. You just peel the outsides and you boil it a little bit, and you can chop it into, you know, some soup, or season it like potatoes. And it's just a lower glycemic root vegetable. And so with like potatoes and all these different vegetable options, like they're all wonderful in their own unique way. And so eating the rainbow is a wonderful thing to do, and trying different flavors of stuff, because I'm just giving you a quick visual here of the differences that, you know, two potatoes can have. And so having a nice variation always comes in handy. And these two pictures I got from Dr. Axe. So again, if you're trying to do your own research, what I like to do is just type in a certain food, and I type in certain kind of people who study this or post a lot about it, and I just type in their name. So I just typed in Dr. Axe potatoes, and then see what comes up, because he has a lot of good visuals, which I like, and he's a trusted source. Like, he's been in the game for a while, and he actually has a lot of biblical tie-in too. So you guys might enjoy his stuff or already know about him. And so purple potatoes, as you can see, it's two of the different things that aren't in the sweet potatoes are phosphorus and manganese. And so everything else is pretty consistent, but in different ratios. And then with the sweet potatoes, which tends to be the more popular one, you'll notice it's high in vitamin A, and the other potatoes don't even have vitamin A. So a lot of the purple foods that you eat are vitamin A rich. So like carrots and things like that. So the colors do tell you kind of the vitamin profile that comes along with it. And so another thing that sweet potatoes have that purple potatoes don't have is pantothenic acid. And honestly, I don't even know what that does. I don't even know what I need it for, but knowing that it's there, and some like what happens with my journey with my husband and research is like all of a sudden there'll be something that happens and we're like, oh, if you're feeling this way, and I do my little research, it's like, oh, people that are slightly deficient in this thing need. And so there's times where I'm searching obscure nutrients like this, and so this is when it comes in handy. And so the next thing we're going to get into, let me check the comments here before we get into the whole grains real quick. And I think we're in a safe space because I'm not in full zone presentation zone. So you didn't know. Oh yeah, cilantro, high in antioxidants and a chelator. Love it. So another reason to double down on that. Juvenile type 1. Oh, wow. So, okay, so the amla would be wonderful for that. And this diet, again, wonderful. But the key is, especially for type 1s or people with diabetics in their family, is the discipline. So it does require consistency, and it requires like the clean, the less toxins, the better. And then being aware of potentially what triggered my husband's ultimately was toxic mold. And so knowing of any other environmental stuff beyond food is important. So maybe, those are different things to be aware of. But the amla is a great, is a great thing to offer someone because they don't have to change anything. The Indian gooseberries, like there's a tea now that someone that I've referenced, the Mastering Diabetes group, they created a tea now, which has the amla in it, and you can just drink it like a normal tea. So that might be something to recommend to people just to give them a quick win and then lure them into the Daniel ways, So next we're getting into whole grains. And now this right here, in God's land, the Garden of Eden, like these would be wonderful for you to eat, no problem. But what we're finding in today's world is this is a wild card for some people. So I interviewed the people who inspired me to eat this way, the producers of The Biggest Loser, J.D. Roth and his wife, Chrissy Roth. They are huge plant-based advocates. And in the interview, which I'm going to be posting here in this group later this week, they mentioned like she's super hardcore, like perfect on this diet, but she does notice that grains are still like don't agree with her, like the grains here in America. But when she travels overseas, if she's in Europe or somewhere else, she can eat the grains no problem. So there's something with the processing here in the US, even if it's like whole grain, that she still has an issue with. So I want you guys to be aware of that and aware of your bodies. Me personally, I don't have an issue because I've been blessed with, having my digestive system able to handle a lot of things, but I do want to be aware and respectful to those that, need to have that on their radar. So, but according to people that can tolerate and people that want to add these down the line into their meal plan is you want to have it whole. So there's like even oatmeal that you can get that's more like it's processed, the quick minute oatmeal or whatever. Like you want the whole rolled oats, and I recommend organic, higher quality, especially with the grains, because there's something going on with these grains the way it's processed. So the less, variables, the better. But what she does, Chrissy, I noticed she does a lot of quinoa as a substitute for some of these other, pastas and grains. And so the other things you have are farro, barley, amaranth. I think I've only eaten that once. Buckwheat, But we do a lot of rolled oats. Like my kids, they love oatmeal. And so I put a bunch of berries in it, and I'll try and sneak in some greens while I'm at it. And then again, the brown rice and wild rice. Like wild rice is actually more nutritionally dense. It's a little bit more fibrous. And so what you'll notice is a lot of the high fiber foods end up being a lot tougher to eat. So think of kale. It's super high in fiber and it's super chewy. So part of it is, and celery. So that's the fibers that are in the food that make it harder to, chew so quickly. And so the foods that have less fiber or have been processed, they kind of dissolve quickly in your system. And that's why they impact you a little differently and harder when it comes to the load on your pancreas having to process it. So that's just some of the whole grains. And let's get into, I forgot I'm not in presentation mode, but what I really like as the kind of higher carby food. And, again, the Mexican in me loves my beans, so, the legumes where you have lentils, kidney beans, French beans, pinto beans, garbanzo beans, soybeans, chickpea, which they use to make hummus, navy bean and mung bean. So like you can do any kind of bean and they are packed with nutrients. And another interesting thing about beans is their carb load there's a certain percentage of the carbs in the food that doesn't get processed in your body. Like it just goes in and out unfazed. And so even though it's higher in carbs in numbers, there's a smaller percent that is not affected in your body, meaning you don't have to count for it. I forget what the percent is, but that's good to know. And again, someone, I forget who it was asking this morning about protein. And so this is an amazing source of protein, and it's my favorite source of protein. So I just want to show the wonderfulness of beans here. This has the vitamin density and the mineral density. So vitamin density in green, mineral density in blue, and fiber points in this other layer. So as you can see, they're all pretty similar. Like there's not one off the charts or one under the charts. Like they're all pretty much level for the most part in terms of their nutritional densities. And that's what I love. Like it doesn't really matter what bean you're having, like as long as you cook it right, which I'm going to get into after this chart, you're good to go. Like I think one thing I want to mention is the green beans here. This is actually at the top of the chart, barely, but it is at the top. And one of the theories I have about the green beans, which it's here's another Dr. Axe image graph on the nutritional density of it. So it has vitamin C, vitamin K, vitamin A, manganese, but also folate. So remember, folate is the natural form of folic acid. So folic acid is something that gets added synthetically to foods that are processed or refined. And it's something that's important to the diet. So having folate is very important. Thiamine, riboflavin, iron, magnesium, and potassium. But another interesting thing that I haven't been able to really find some confirming data on this, but there's a person who was able to go, like my husband's story from going off insulin, like he started the day he got diagnosed. And so he didn't have the full blown experience of like having to be injecting insulin. And so people are kind of like, well, you never went to that point. So there's this kind of question of like a normal diabetic who's been diabetic for years doesn't think they can attain the same thing. And so we actually discovered a guy who was a full-blown type 1 diabetic for 7 or 8 years. Like he was completely dependent on insulin. And then all of a sudden he got off. And the crazy thing is he doesn't really know quite how he did. He did increase, had a healthier diet, but he also added green bean juice. And one of his theories behind the green beans and the green bean juice is that it produces natural insulin. And so when you consume it, that natural insulin, it helps aid in your body not needing to produce as much insulin. So that it's a random rumor from this guy who did an amazing thing. And so again, there's not research supporting this, but I do want to just mention it for the sake of mentioning it, because if there's a slight chance of that being true, then heck yeah, like eat your green beans, y'all. So I'm keeping my radar for that, but I'm gonna hopefully, as Daniel Challenge progresses and Kingdom Health progresses, I would like to interview him and kind of pick his brain a little bit on that and the source where that was from, but we shall see. So yes, ooh, yes, Heather loves her hummus. I love it too. So now let's get into, so we mentioned the green beans and the cooking of beans. So there's people that kind of have mixed reaction to beans. And there's this whole book called, I forget what it's called, but it's against beans and lentils. And it's saying it has these lectins and it's harmful to our digestive systems. And I'm just like, bro, I've been eating this stuff and my ancestors have been eating this stuff for ages, like no problem. So one of the things that I've come to learn is that the way we prepare our beans is really important. And so I don't think most people know this outside of people who regularly cook beans from scratch. And that is, you need to soak them for overnight, like at least, I think it's 12 to 16 hours, something like that. So that it removes kind of like that outer lectin layer so that it becomes easier for your body to break down once it's cooked and eaten. So I had my grandma or my mom would always soak our beans overnight. And I was just like, Mom, I want my beans now. Why can't we just have them now? And she said, well, we just have to soak them first. That's just what we do. And when I asked her why, she said, that's because that's what my mom did. That's what grandma did. And then I was like, well, why did she do that? And like, nobody had an answer. They're just like, because we do, you know? And so to me, that didn't make sense. And so I got to a point where I was like, well, I'm not going to soak my beans. I'm just going to cook them right away because I'm hungry and I don't want to have this whole day process for food that I want now. And then, I would do that. I wouldn't have any adverse reactions, but I learned later on that actual soaking process is essential to grains. And in biblical times, I'm reading this book called the Maker's Diet, and it references in biblical and ancient times, it's documented that all of their grains, they would soak for an extended period of time to the point of sprouting. And so they knew innately that this was more beneficial to their bodies and it would be allowing them to digest and consume stuff better and have a higher nutritional profile, especially with the sprouting process. So that was custom. And so when making the comparisons of grains from biblical times to grains now, it really depends on so many different factors that we've been ignoring that were just known in those ancient times. And so we have to kind of remember this and go back to those custom ways that didn't make sense before, but now that people are having food issues, we're forcing it to make sense in our brains now so that we can start eating the things that we should be able to eat, you know? So that's really the most majority of what I wanted to discuss today. And when talking about beans, I gotta talk about tacos because, people think like, oh, plant-based diet, it's so restricted. And, during these first 10 days, we're a little bit more restricted because we are Daniel and doing the King's Challenge, which is just water. And I'm challenging you a level above to like try and not do too many grains until, towards the end. But I want to remind you that like these tacos right here are plant-based. Like it's all plants. The tortilla, it's corn, water, and lime. That's how it's made, right? And you can add whatever filler you want. And when you think about your average taco, if you take the meat out, there's still, the guacamole, the avocado, the avocado, the cilantro, the onions. And if you just add beans instead of meat, like to me, that is a super satisfying taco. Like I'm just fine without the meat and it's very filling and it's something that I'm used to, squeeze a little lime on top of it. So for my tacos, I just have an easy little base and my kids love these. And so I just get a corn tortilla, beans, make, you could do just avocado. If you want to get fancy, get your little guacamole kit going and, mix some things in. And then salsa. So you can either, I want to get to the point where I'm making my own salsa, but right now I haven't been able to commit the time. So I just get a really good salsa from like the farmer's market, or one of my, I go to like Whole Foods and Sprouts, and I'll just try and pick the most like fresh, like pico de gallo, or a nice spicy salsa too. And with those 3-4 ingredients, like I am super satisfied, and my kids love it. I just wrap it up in a little napkin for them, and they'll eat 3 or 4 of these, you know. So you can eat tacos. So don't feel deprived, y'all. And then, you know, the next thing I wanted to mention is, so as you're getting a feel for this style of eating, what you're going to notice, just like the tacos, if you take out the meat and, you know, the oil, the dairy, whatever it is, if you take out those ingredients, the recipe still works. You might have to substitute a couple of things, but for the most part, like the tacos, like if I just take out the meat, I can put beans and salsa and avocados, like it's still good. So I want you to start thinking about your recipes. Like, what are some that some of your favorites that have multiple ingredients in them? And think of how you can just sub out the meat or sub out the oil. And what my pastor found was he's Korean, and he loves making curry. And during the final day of our 21-day challenge, he made us curry, and that curry was so good. I've been like trying to get the recipe, and he still hasn't sent it to me, but it was really good. And he was just like, I was so surprised that this came out so good. Like, he didn't think it would have worked without having the meat and without having the oil. Like, to him, it was impossible, but he was forced to try it. And like, he was just blown away. Like, oh my God, I didn't need that stuff. Like, it was still just as delicious. So again, just thinking kind of outside the box now, or inside the Daniel box, you know, trying to figure out ways to amp up and make your favorite recipes more nutritionally dense. So that's really it. And if you guys want to share some of those recipes, go for it. I'm going to hunt down some of my chocolate recipes for Miss Heather over here and post it in the group. I'm going to take some final questions before I close out with prayer. And let me check the Facebook group, because I've been ignoring y'all over here. And I think we're good. So Ezekiel, what about Ezekiel cereal? So Ezekiel bread, yes, that's one of my favorite breads. And I just made my kids a Ezekiel peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch today. So yeah, those are my preferred breads because they're sprouted, and it's literally bread that was created from a Bible verse telling you how to make bread. So if we're trying to eat in a biblical sense, like that is my go-to because of that. And let's see what about them. And the Ezekiel cereal, I've had both. So I would say, yeah, it's more in line with the biblical way of eating. For these initial days, I would probably hold off on the cereal at least, because I'm not as familiar with the ingredients. But with the Ezekiel bread, what I love is you put some peanut butter, some banana slices, and a little bit of cinnamon sprinkled on top. And that is like my favorite thing. And have it with a cup of hot chocolate in the morning. Like, oh my goodness. So one of my favorite things. And so hummus. Yeah, I used to make my own hummus a lot. It's actually really easy. It's just like garbanzo beans, water, and lemon juice, and some salt. And super easy to make. I've just been getting lazy, but I will get back to that. And the Maker's Diet book is a wonderful book. So it's not just Daniel, it kind of goes a little beyond that, because the Bible does have, allow meat and all of that stuff, but we're focusing on this narrow portion of the Bible. And because it's it's a challenge, right? It's pushing you out of your comfort zone. It's getting you to go beyond your normal boundaries and testing yourself. And when you do that, like I'm a former athlete, like I grew up a competitive tennis player and like played college and got certified as a pro post-college, like that experience of really just pushing yourself to like struggle a little bit to get a win, like it makes that win so much more satisfying, and it changes you as a person, so people like this is a step in personal growth and a step growth in the direction of God, like, and that's double power right there. So yeah, I think that that covers it for today. So tomorrow we're going to get into fasting, yeah, fun stuff. The Bible has a lot to say about fasting, so I figured we definitely have to touch on it. So if you guys have any questions about that, let me know. I will be, yeah, any questions for people watching the replay, just let me know, put them in the comments in the Facebook group, and I'll get back to you. What I end up doing is responding, and if there's an article reference that helps answer your question, I end up sending you the article or the image or whatever it is. So I'm here to make sure you have all the data you need to succeed. And so that's really it. So I'm going to go ahead and close out with prayer as we normally do. And the verse I have here is Daniel 4:9. Woo. So we know that the Spirit of the Holy God is in us and no mystery is too difficult. So I love this. It's so inspiring to me on my journey, and I think for anybody who's on kind of that health journey, like trying to find the true answers. And the Bible has a lot to say, but again, it doesn't have 100% all the details for us. We have to kind of infer and make our own interpretations of things. But what's wonderful is God continues to give you answers, give you breadcrumbs along the way. And I've had so much fun kind of picking those up ever since Graham's diagnosis and putting it all together. And so there's no mystery too difficult if you're paying attention, if you're really listening, if you're asking him for those nuggets of wisdom to be placed in your path, or just to have him communicate it to you directly. And for me, it's been direct in some instances, and it's been indirect. And so I'm just so happy that he has given us this power, and so I just feel grateful. And so I want to close out with just this prayer of gratitude here. So we thank you and praise you, God. We just love you, and you have given us so much wisdom and power, and you've given us Jesus, Jehovah Rapha, our great physician, who is just really here to heal us and give us the ability to heal and to thrive in these bodies, the temple of God. And we embrace you. Your grace is just surrounds us, and we just ask that you continue to bless this challenge and bless those that are a part of this challenge, so that they can achieve that higher level of connection with you. And I know that you're here guiding us along this way, and I'm just so excited to follow your lead. And I ask that you just continue to inspire everyone else on their journey to follow your lead as well. So that's it for today, and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Well, I will see you guys all tomorrow at 5, live at 5. That's the deal. So have a good night in Chicago, Miss Heather, and I will see.
God bless you. Thank you.
Take care.
That was awesome. Thank
you.
Bye-bye.